Hello everybody, I want to take a few minutes and discuss the problem-based learning unit that you are about to create. In this class, we have studied a lot of different uses of technology, how to communicate with students, how to help students become more productive. We've also looked at different online resources that we can use to help students learn materials and communicate with each other. So we're going to kind of pull it all together with this final unit. And because KCC has such a strong connection with sustainability, the theme for this unit, so everyone that creates this project, this will be related to the theme of sustainability. Now, if you're not familiar with sustainability, it does go beyond reducing, reusing, and recycling materials, but that's actually a pretty good place to start. Most people are familiar with recycling, glass and aluminum and everything else, and so kids need to learn these things too. But I have a whole list of sustainability resources here for you to look at and become more familiar with the topics in case you want to go in a different direction than just reduce, reuse, recycle. I also have a chat here with Tim Wilhelm. He is a professor here at KCC in the ELTR program. He came to one of my face-to-face classes a couple years ago and led a really awesome discussion with my students regarding sustainability. So if you want to watch the video, it's divided into segments. But from the beginning, you can see that there's the overview of the project. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. This kind of gives you the nuts and bolts of the project. You can see here that your problem statement is how do you help your students learn about the connections between society, the economy, and the environment. So basically, sustainability is more than just recycling. It's thinking smarter, not harder, in order to make our lives even more enjoyable. Your principals decided to have a contest. The best idea wins. Develop a 5-day learning unit for your students. The unit ends with a fun field trip, so make sure to design your activities around the exhibits and the activities of the field trip. Get to work. Okay, so you're going to decide what grade level you want to teach, because remember, standards are tied to grade levels. So whatever grade level will dictate the standard. You're going to find the learning standard from the chart below. Right now we're in a state of transition. Common Core standards are being developed for science. In fact, they are in place for grades 6 through 12, but not for the younger grades at this point. So we're going to go ahead and use some of the former standards, at least for this activity. I understand it's not Common Core, but at the same time it is still using a standard to create instruction. You're going to research exhibits of the field trip destination so that you know what's going on, so you can maybe plan some activities that will help students understand what they're about to see. And then you're going to make sure that everything's designed colorful and engaging. Okay, so here are the standards that you can choose from. So if you want to teach early elementary, you're going to be creating activities that help students demonstrate ways to reduce, reuse, and recycle. If you're late elementary, so like grades 3, 4, 5, identify and explain ways that using technology changes ecosystems, like in regards to buildings, communication, power plants. Middle school, advantages and disadvantages of natural resource conservation and management programs. And then early high school, late high school, assess how scientific and technological progress has affected other fields of study, careers, and job markets and aspects of everyday life. I advise you to also find a standard or two from maybe one of the other areas like language arts or fine arts, social science, math, physical science. And here are your field trip options. So you're going to pick one of these 3 options to take your students. Hidden Oaks Nature Center, which is in Bolingbrook, the Evelyn Peace Tyner Interpretive Center in Glenview, or usually the most popular one for students is the Museum of Science and Industry, the Green and Wired Green Home. So basically, here's what you're going to submit to the Dropbox. You're going to submit 4 detailed lesson plans, that's for each day of the unit, a multiple choice assessment, which is like 5 to 10 questions. The pre and post test are exactly the same, so you only have to submit 1 document for this, and the answer key. And the questions should relate to the unit. Should be like the last thing that you actually design. So decide where you're going to go on the field trip, pick your learning standard, design your guided learning activities for students and your lesson plans and all that good stuff. And then the assessment, you should pull questions or ask questions directly from the lesson plans that students should be able to answer. And then for the students, you're going to come up with a problem statement and a learning challenge, kind of like what I did at the beginning of this document. So you create like a scenario for students. 2 individual assignments related to the field trips and to the learning standard, and you're going to label them. 2 group assignments, so something that your students would do in a small group. So think of maybe, worksheets, vocab, everything for individual, and then the group assignments might be something that's more hands-on or problem solving. And then you're going to think of a culminating performance. We discussed this earlier in the class. Think of that end project where students will show you that they've learned something. Maybe you ask them to create a brochure, maybe you ask them to create a poster, draw pictures. And then also you're going to include a field trip brochure for students to reference, something that you might give to them or their parents. And then a calendar of the events or the assignments for the 5-day unit. So remember the first day and then the last day. First day is, you're going to get students going with the initiating activity. You're going to introduce things. You're going to get them going on some of their assignments. Day 5 is going to be the field trip. So you need to focus on days 2, 3, and 4 for assignments and due dates. I wanted to show you an example of a student submission, what it might look like. So this is one student's project. This is everything that they submitted. So you see they have initiating activity, they have lesson plans, they have activities, that's what they titled them, Save the World, a brochure, there's their pre and post tests. So I'm going to go ahead and click on them. So here we go. Here's what their pre and post tests look like. Okay, same thing. There's the answer key. It can be all one document. Here's their initiating activity. Okay. Here's a lesson plan for one day. Here's the calendar of events. Here's a group project. Okay, notice. Okay, so as you can see, everything's labeled, and you're going to have quite a few documents. So it's not easy, but if you think about it, these are just small little pieces of the puzzle. Then when you're done with everything, you can upload to the Dropbox. And as you can see, in our Dropbox, you'll notice that's worth 155 points total, and then it actually, there's a rubric attached, so you'll be able to see how you will be graded. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or let me know. I am happy to help.